And we're live.
This episode of Beyond Retro is rated MA. Parental discretion is advised. So, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 34 of Beyond Retro. I'm the man behind the mask, Joe Amato, and I'm here with Nasty Nate, Nathan Kennedy, and the man with the steel trap for a mind, Tyler Baker. And oh dear God, this one, oh shit, first let me turn down the volume on my other thing here because I had that up. I've been so goddamn, it hasn't ended with the insanity that's been going on for a couple days with this Thundercats Roar, and I guess it can lead into a debate of things of old cartoons versus new. Before we get into it, I mean, what's up guys? How you doing? Anything you guys got to say before we get into this madness of shit?
I'm doing fine. I'm looking at Tyler right now, and he clearly looks very, very pissed off. My phone was blowing up on Friday. I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden, because I don't have like tones, I just have my phone on vibrate all the time. And my phone's just like just going off, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Is there like a world crisis or something all of a sudden? And I'm starting to check. And you see like that thumbnail, and I'm like, okay, like these characters look familiar. I see what they're going for, and I look and I click on it, and I'm watching the video. I'm just like, oh, holy shit. Like this caught me way off guard, as it did everybody else apparently, because normally we're in an age now where it's like you hear that this is happening. It seemed like this just materialized out of nowhere. Here's this video, and wow. I said, Tyler, look at it, he's just down there like, oh fuck, I'm just pissed off. Tyler takes a little bit to respond to things like messages, stuff like that, and I noticed he was tagged in these things as well, and we just started texting a little bit back and forth, just kind of like, wow, this is fucking terrible. Tyler, we'll let Tyler talk now. Go ahead and, or are you just going to sit down there the entire time like that and not say a word? That'd be kind of funny, actually.
He's got a lot to stew about what we've seen. This Thundercats Roar, I have never seen such an outcry of insanity and just utter disgust and hate towards something. And what's funny is our buddy Dushin, he mentioned, he said, Joey says, you got to check the Warner Brothers official YouTube video for that. Because he said they unlisted it. It's gotten so much hate and dislike. I've never seen that happen with a video, especially from a company. Maybe people in general, if you don't like what people are saying, you might unlist it or remove comments or whatever bullshit, hide comments. This video has more dislikes than likes, and I mean by thousands. Even another person put up another video of it, like some other company, like there's like 161,000 views and there's like 16,000 dislikes and maybe a couple hundred likes. The comments are just full of insanity, of hate. And the thing is, and I'm here to echo, I apologize. People out there might hear it too. I don't know if it's popping me up on Nathan's or Tyler. I'm sorry about that. But here's the thing. You always get people saying, well, remember, everybody, this isn't for 40-year-old guys. This is for kids, just like the old Thundercats cartoon was for kids. This is what pisses me off about that comment. When I was growing up, I'm sure like you and everybody else, I remember watching, seeing Speedy Gonzales, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, DuckTales, the Flintstones, cartoons that were fun and made you laugh. And that was a certain kind of cartoon. Then you wanted to tune into the other cartoons that were Thundercats, Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe, Transformers, one that were full of adventure, good versus evil, something that they could have morals, a great story. There was different types of it. So now you're taking one of the iconic adventurous cartoons and turning it into this slapstick crap. Now, of course, I know everybody's going to say, well, it's probably for kids. Yeah, I guess it is. They sure the hell are gearing it towards kids. But it just pisses me off. It's like, is this what you... And they always say, that's what kids want. No, that's what you're giving kids. Of course, if you keep feeding them junk food shit, that's all they know. Try to give them something to use their fucking imagination, because it looks like Steven Universe and it looks like Teen Titans Go and looks like all this other crap that is just fucking garbage. I'll tell you what. I mean, yeah, kids, they might like it, but I was like, I gotta tune in. I gotta check the Steven Universe out, because there were some people that were adults that were actually saying this. No shit. They said Steven Universe has better animation, has better art, and better stories than the original Thundercats and Masters of the Universe. I said, well, let me check out this mighty fucking cartoon. I put that on. It is just the dumbest bunch of shit I've ever seen. I mean, they have gems that they can use for their powers, but it's all relatable to where shit looks Earth-based, but of course they have different moons and all this other crap. But I mean, it's full of just gags, nonsense, people, over-exaggerating mouths. Oh, here's the thing with the animation that kills me. They said the animation's better. It goes literally, like, let's say somebody has their hands down like this, then their hands up are like that within like a half a second. Then they're off to the side. Then this. It's like, where's the fucking animation? But they say, oh, but it's better than the old Thundercats animation because you can notice when there was an error. I guess you would fucking notice if there was an error when they're putting at least 15 to 20 frames to make an arm beautifully animate like this, and all they're doing nowadays is up, down, left, right, mouths that go like this that are so gigantic they're bigger than their fucking heads. That's the stuff that annoys me. It's like, you can show that shit up your ass. I'm watching it. Go ahead.
But before we let Tyler say anything, there's an audio clip that I'm going to play. But Joe, the reason I'm laughing, it's just I've never heard you say fuck so much in such a short amount of time. I don't care. I think it's great. But I'm going to go ahead because Jake Juggalo sent me this clip while all this was going on. We had some discussions back and forth. And Tyler hasn't said anything yet, so I'll go ahead and play this because it'll kind of be his intro, and we'll let Tyler just sort of jump in. But here we go.
On the next episode of Beyond Retro, Tyler Baker's gonna lose his shit. His nipples will turn soft. His vacation mode has ended. He is now entering his final stage, Rage Mode. Thundercats Roar.
And there we have it. So, Tyler, we're going to go ahead and pass along to you. By the way, welcome back from your vacation. I'm sure this was just the best homecoming gift for you.
He's still in process.
He's sitting in the sun on a balcony with the ocean in front of me. And I just checked Facebook just for fun to see how like the other podcasts are doing. And I get tagged in this horse shit. And you almost felt like there aren't enough cuss words in the English language to just don't bother. God, man. You just
I look down for like a second and Tyler's just like, I just see something go flying in the air. What was that?
I flipped my desk over.
Oh, okay.
I had water on it and stuff. I'm thrilled to death that so many people have unified and just vented about, you know what? Fuck you and your cheap animation. Just because everything, or Rick and Morty and Adventure Time and all those cartoons that look like it took about 5 minutes to animate is the popular thing right now, that anything else has got to look cheap, half-assed, and making your characters do the whole duck face bullshit. Oh my God, how quirky and silly we are. And when we're reading a damn newspaper, all these morons and jerk-offs at Warner Brothers that are coming out and defending what they're doing, which I guess anybody would. But like with any other situation, whether it be G.I. Joe or Transformers, they think all of us who've kept every single one of these damn properties alive in all these dark times where the only Thundercats you can find is at your latest, your current retail outlet that sells comic books and trendy memorabilia from or retro style stuff that's not tampered with, traditional Thundercats stuff, traditional G.I. Joe, Thundercats, He-Man stuff. We're the reason that Thundercats is still relevant. Why it's still, people are still buying T-shirts of just the damn logo. The Maddie collector line that got canceled. Guys our age and older are the reasons this line is still being, noticed and talked about. Same thing with Transformers and G.I. Joe and He-Man. And yet when they decide to bring it back because they got the rights, they think none of us are entitled to say, you know what, this cartoon is still popular was for a reason. Because it was kick-ass machismo action adventure with muscular kick-ass guys and muscular badass villains and beautiful women beating the shit out of each other for 22 minutes after school, along with He-Man and Transformers and G.I. Joe. And we're not entitled to think that, you know what? Why are you changing what worked? And you sit there and say, well, no one watched the reboot from 2010 because the story sucked balls. It failed for, I'm sure, a multitude of reasons. But for me personally, they didn't have anybody that could write a damn good Thundercats story. And because everyone's trying to reinvent the wheel. Why are you trying to reinvent Thundercats and He-Man and Transformers and Turtles and G.I. Joe when we're all feasting on what worked for us in the 80s? You know, we're fascinated by that. But say, to hell with you and your fanboys here who kept it, so popular and people make customizing T-shirts and action figures and artwork. No, you guys are a bunch of pansy-ass losers who got nothing better to do than spend your time on social media and the internet bitching, complaining because we're not giving you the cartoon that was from the 80s because, well, I didn't grow up with it. And so, therefore, I just don't have an attachment to it. I think it's kind of lazy. It's cheesy. The same cliche bullshit answer they get from these hipsters with their goofy-ass hairdos who think the answer to everything modern times is we need more comedy in everything. We don't need serious action in children's entertainment. And yet we want to make sure the adult fans see this because why would they put it on social media and outlets where they know damn well people our age and older are going to see this? If they were not making sure that everyone saw it, why not just advertise it when little kids are watching Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or Disney Channel or any other outlet? No. Let's make sure we let the masses know. Let's let everybody know that this cartoon is coming. You just think, what the hell were they thinking? What did they think? How did they think we were going to respond? That Lionel looking like a little cherub character, referring to the Sword of Omens as his magic slicing stick bullshit. What the hell? Why did they think this was a good idea? And when you hear those morons sit there and say that Thundercats, it's a great source of comedy from the source material. And they make sure they show that because the moron with the goofy man bun tail says that he liked Thundercats as a kid, which is the most cliche go-to thing. Anybody that's thrown onto a project of the 80s that we love, they have to make sure, I grew up on it. I watched it after school too. Son of a bitch, man. Hire that man. That guy knows more about it than anybody. And make sure we show a shot of Warner Brothers' DVD release of Thundercats on DVD on the guy's shelf sitting next to him there. That way, clearly, son, I can't believe this. He really is a fan. He's got the current release of DVDs of Thundercats. Man, why we should not question, especially, look at the guy's hairdo. That guy's got talent, man. Just looking at that guy, that schlubby douchebag who says he grew up with it and he's got the DVDs next to him. Why should we question such brilliance with that? Why should we think Warner Brothers would do something ridiculous with Thundercats? Oh my God!
I love how they turned, like you said, everything into a comedy. And that's what you've been known for, is always seeing a yuck fest. But you know what? It's true with that. They sit there.
Everyone's answer to entertainment is superheroes, action adventure. No. It's all comedy. We can no longer have serious action adventure.
And that they have to say, I don't even know what he was talking about when he said that the Thundercats, it draws from comedy, so they went with that. I'm like, what are you talking about? I never watched Thundercats and was laughing like I was with the Looney Tunes or Bugs Bunny or anything. Sure, any cartoon you could take, there might, let's say, be a funny moment. But that does not mean that cartoon revolves around comedy. But this is, and like you said, not only did he so-called watch it, but remember, he watched it with his brothers or something. That means, you've probably seen an episode, you walked in the other room, you catch something. You know nothing about Thundercats, because if you think Thundercats is about comedy, then you got the wrong impression of that show, and you got the wrong thing of what it was supposed to be about if you think it's comedy. But they think it works for everything. Like I said, I watched that Steven Universe. All that is just comedy, jokes, silliness. It's nonsense. It's absolute garbage for the brain. I just hate that, like I said, they don't take a chance with kids and try to give them something, make them use their imaginations. Everything from we talk about games and when they play things with anything with their little devices that they hold, everything presented in front of them. They can't use their imaginations anymore. Everything is laid out right in front of them. It's and like for that Thundercats cartoon, the one that came out in 2011. Some people said, well, hey, they gave it a chance because remember they did a new one and nobody liked it. I was like, and it's what you said earlier. Nobody did like it. They said this one guy in particular was saying it was a great cartoon and fans, the Thundercat fans, wanted to continue, but it didn't relate to the kids, so they canceled it. Well, I'll tell you what, I belong just like you guys probably do, not only just the Thundercat websites and forums, but many pages on Facebook. And I've seen so many of the same things that people said that I said. They started watching the 3 to maybe 6 episodes. They said they were done. They said they just couldn't stand the story. It had beautiful art, had beautiful animation, but it was just a bad story. So don't sit there and reflect that scene. The little kids didn't want it. And plus, let's not, add to the fact that the toys, went up, they weren't selling that well because the toys look like shit too. But again, the cartoon slot, it was here, it was there. It was almost like Masters of the Universe where you didn't know when the hell to watch it and at what time. So don't sit there and try to say, oh, they tried it and it didn't work. No, I mean, what they tried didn't work because it was just garbage. It was just bad stories. So I just hate that they always have to take the easy way out. Anything that's new, let's do this quick little so-called better animation and better art, which, like I said, is nothing compared to what was in the 80s. But let's do this shit, and let's just make everybody laugh. Let's make the big mouths, and let's make things just so relatable to kids. It's like, that's what I mean. It's just, don't insult them. It's like when we were growing up, were we insulted like that? Yes, we had the funny stuff, like I said, the Looney Tunes and other things, but they took chances with us. They gave us stories where you would be parts of these adventures, these amazing stories with these characters that you felt like you could take part in battles with. And we embraced it and we opened it. But it's if you keep giving them garbage and this junk food, they're not going to know any better. This is all they're going to want. But they still like it. Hell, I checked the ratings for some of these shows. Some don't even garner 500,000 viewers. I'm like, oh yeah, but this is a blockbuster. And it doesn't even have 500,000 people that watch this fucking thing. So, but Nathan, now we can pass it to you because you've been pretty quiet, but it's just a joke. I just hate how they do this shit and they try to insult us for trying to have an opinion. Especially like when we said, we're the ones that are buying all the merchandise and shit that's out there. It's like, why don't you have a little respect for us? Because don't say, oh, it's just for 40-year-old guys. Because here's what's funny. I'm sorry, I'm going to go right into one other thing, Nathan. Are the action figures. These same guys who were saying, you guys need to quit crying because this is a cartoon for kids and you're 40 years old. They're the same ones that are in the fucking toy pages and groups that collect toys who are 40 years old that get pissed when some of their other friends say, you collect little dolls and toys? Aren't you 40? Why are you collecting that? And then they get pissed. I'm like, okay, if you're getting pissed because they're saying you're collecting dolls and toys and you enjoy it, don't go jumping on other people because they enjoy a cartoon. Respect each other back and forth. Like I said, I'm not going to sit there and name call any people and curse them out, but I get pissed when people are hypocrites. When it's okay for them to insult something, but when people insult their toys and dolls in groups, they get pissed. It's like, hey, don't dish it out if you can't take it. You know what I mean?
No, everything that you guys have said has been spot on and perfect. I'm gonna kind of look at it a different way. And Tyler and I kind of talked about this yesterday. Because I was like, I'll save all of my thoughts for the show. I'm kind of two minds, like I said. One, Thundercats Roar looks like shit. I'm in total agreement of that. Also in agreement, I seen it feels like entertainment for kids today is sort of like you say, it's sort of like that shitty parent just feeding them like junk food and letting them run around and scream all the time. That's what it feels like. Now, I know why they made it the way that they made it is because I think this cartoon will be successful. I hate saying that, but I think it will. It's drawing from those same things that kids are into. Your Steven Universe and Teen Titans Go. I actually watched the first episode of Steven Universe on Hulu this morning when I woke up, and yeah, it's just that ADD, like, here, there's this. And I've also watched probably about 6 or 7 episodes of Teen Titans Go, and I think that it's okay. Like, it has its moments of absolute, like, just things go on too long or something's not funny, but there is hints of clever writing in there, things that make me chuckle, things that I could see why a kid now would like it. So I think Thundercats Roar is going to be successful. I hate to say that.
Well,
but
a quick little thing of what you're saying right there with like Teen Titans Go and Steven Universe, especially Teen Titans Go. First, there's such an established fan base that eclipses Masters of the Universe and Thundercats by millions and millions to where they can take a risk with a different little angle and shit like that. And sometimes, yes, it will work. And also, with Steven Universe, here's the other thing I always brought up. I brought it up with Tyler, too, sometimes. Is they always will try to do relatable things, though, to where it still looks like things on Earth, or it is Earth, or Earth-based. And when you look at that Steven Universe, you're seeing, cell phones, you're seeing keychains, you're seeing vans, you're seeing stuff that is Earth and things you can eat. Thundercats, unless they put in some Earth relatable so kids can understand what's going on, I don't know how successful it'll be, because you're right, it has the goofiness that this crap is, that's so, what kids are supposedly watching and into. But it's going to be missing that important Earth element. And if they don't bring it, I see that probably just going away too, because these little kids aren't going to understand or relate. They're going to see the nonsense, but they're going to be like, I don't know what this stuff is, or there's nothing I can connect to. So it could, but it couldn't. And like I said, it's geared towards kids, but it's just a fucking shame that they think, let's keep giving them this same stuff over and over. It's like, what makes it special and unique? Why does every single damn cartoon have to have this squatted body, gigantic head, super big eyes, the gigantic mouth that just moves up and down like this? Why does every cartoon have to look the same, but with the
I don't know. I guess they just see that string of success that these other shows have had, and
it's a shame, though.
I know. I totally agree with you on that. And part of it is too, because you kind of mentioned it early on, and I don't like saying this either, trust me, but I know that we are the ones that have kept the Thundercats relevant, and G.I. Joe, Transformers, and all that stuff. Well, Transformers is kind of like went a different way, because when you look at Thundercats and Masters, like Transformers has had, God, they had the original show, you had Beast Wars, and they've had like 2 or 3 other versions of an animated show. Whereas you had New Adventures of He-Man, and then the 2000X series, of course. But it just seems like those 2 properties are the ones that get shoved to the side. But what I was trying to say is that even though we are the ones that keep it alive, when you look at the aspect of this is the direction they want to go, because it's, and I think you're already crossing your arms. It's not for us anymore, period. It was, the intention is never it's never meant to be whatever that douche with that shitty haircut says, it is not for us. It is that direction of, this is what we want to do because this and this and this are successful. That's how, it's not meant for us anymore. A lot of these things aren't meant for us anymore. It harkens back to Tyler being pissed about these Marvel films. They're not making them for the comic book fan. I mean, they kind of are, but it's shifting. It's we got to get the masses in here. It sucks. It's fucking terrible, because obviously you see the passion in everyone. This looks like shit. Why is this happening? But they're moving on from us. We are getting old. That's how they're going to do it. They're going to change it in a way that just completely alienates all of the original fans. That's just how it's going to start happening from now on. Imagine if anything happens with Masters again, it's going to be the same thing, if not worse. Because you see in the commercials how they're jokey with it and how they play off He-Man. There's another animated show it's going to be the same thing.
I can't quite understand why they think that, if you guys just want to make all children's entertainment is just a bunch of really juvenile, dumb-witted, uninspiring, not unique and not funny comedies for kids, do it. But leave the hell, leave all of our properties alone. If you're not going to carry on the tradition, I mean, look, for God's sake, man, to touch on what superheroes are, studios, if they haven't realized by now that when obviously comic book fans, I know that a lot of them now are enjoying going and just laughing their ass off at comic book movies, instead of going and getting goosebumps, making your hair stand on edge because you're so excited over the moments and the music and the emotion that you get or should be getting from those kind of movies. And now it's just, how many laughs can we squeeze in? And that seems to be that's what's popular now. It's just straight up comedies. The days of action are gone. And I'm like, okay, well, fine. Create your own shit. Leave Thundercats alone. Leave Transformers alone. Leave Turtles alone. And I know you got the rights for them. And, you know, to what Nathan said, at least Hasbro, you know, yeah, I'd say, well, pretty much all of their incarnations of Transformers other than the original one. And just because I look at the others, I don't like anime. I don't like the goofiness of a lot of their incarnations. But at least they keep trying. They keep reinventing it over and over and over. And some have been a hit with fans, some of them have not. Turtles, you know, I hate that they have decided to move on from what was being quite successful with the toys and the cartoon to moving on to an extreme downgrade because we want to make Turtles look goofier and sillier and more childlike and, you know, cotton candied up and brightened up for the kids. We don't want attitude with our action heroes. We want hijinks and goofballs and snaggletooths and, you know, and taking away any kind of edge and you know, maturity from characters. Like, are you telling me that young boys and girls can't appreciate a little bit of ass kicking in their entertainment today? And I don't know where they're getting this from. You know, we're fans. We're on the outside. We're not in the business, but we also know that a lot of these decisions are made from corporate assholes who just think that their decisions are the cream of the crop, that they know the people, they know kids, and if it fails, oh, well, it's because the audience didn't like it. They're never going to admit that this decision, which thank God for Thundercat fans and casual Thundercat fans, hardcore fans all together, that have vented their frustration to show how much they dislike this trailer that's come out, for Warner Bros. To take it off YouTube and that you have to go and search it out in a particular way. I mean, that to me, that's almost up there with the fan reaction from the Ghostbusters remake. They had no business doing it to begin with, and if you weren't going to treat it with dignity, even with women, you had no business doing it. And that jerk off Paul Feig continues to say it was a great thing, just like I'm sure the guy behind this Thundercat show thinks it's a wonderful and original idea to take all these, you know, I mean, just a quintessential badass heroes and villains from Jackal and Sly and Vultureman and Monkey and Mon-Ra to Panthro and Tigra and Lion-O and turn them into, you know, morons, laughing stocks, jokes, walking jokes. You know, why can't you just come up with your own stuff? Come up with something, and that way you can use the line, your slicing, magic slicing stick. Why the hell do you got to take something that they know very well is treasured by fans, and because they can't seem to market it right or put it in the hands of a toy company that knows what the hell they're doing and can produce quality toys and make sure that kids and adults see it. You know, oh God, it's just, I just get tired of everyone thinking that we need to stray away as far away from the reason why these cartoons are still featured on T-shirts, why they're referenced in modern day sitcoms or, you know, on talk shows, or why you got celebrities wearing a Transformer retro shirt or a Ninja Turtle shirt, or why people are still being asked about the past, because no one's asking about stuff that came out in the 2000s a whole lot, and sure as hell are not asking about the modern stuff. Everyone's still going back to Larry Kinney for Lion-O. I don't think they're going to be going back to people who were on this one and the previous reboot from 2010. It just shows, and they continue to ignore why we're still celebrating this stuff. I mean, they want to do everything but that, and think that because they throw in an Easter egg that references a Decepticon that only hardcore fans would know, oh, well, they know their shit. Look at that reference there. Everything else is abysmal. Makes you want to pull your eyes out and take sharpened pencils, shove them in your ear, you know, and take a spoon and then shove it up your ass to take your mind off the pain of what you're watching. You know, they just, no one cares anymore. And I hate. I tried to let it go with She-Ra because I'm like, I feel like, yeah, they're not making it for us, so I'm not going to let myself get angry about this. But Thundercats, that doesn't. I'm so tired of everyone acting like this community that keeps. They're the reason why they're doing this is because we have kept it alive on the internet. We're still buying toys and going to places like ADCs.com, styling online, Amazon, eBay, and buying merchandise from stuff that came out in 1984 for crying out loud. Yet we don't have a say. We're just looked upon as a bunch of people who have nothing better to do with our time than to think that this cartoon that they say conveniently was just meant for kids is, you guys are taking it. You don't count. You know, you guys have real no say in this anyway.
Well, it's just going back to what I was saying. Like they're cutting the original fans out of this. Like
Yeah,
that's
but they only do it when there's a backlash. Like with Ghostbusters, I mean, there was that they all knew it was trouble, and yet they quickly attacked the fans as if like they're just a bunch of angry, chauvinistic men thinking that jokes about slime and vagina is like, oh yeah, that's what the original Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 was missing, slime and vagina jokes, and yet they were all looked upon as a bunch of morons by Sony and Paul Feig and the cast. Granted, a lot of things were said that should not have been said. But we all have a right to say, you know what, we don't like what you're doing with something that we all treasure and continue to watch on home video or watch it on clips on YouTube or go and watch old commercials on YouTube or go to flea markets and trying to buy the vintage toys that I got sitting over here or VHS tapes or commission artists to, illustrate these characters that we love, just for these guys to come along and say, well, you guys, we don't care what you think. And they're only saying it because they're being challenged. It's like they always come out and say the cliche thing. Oh, well, we're all fans of this. So we want to just carry on that tradition with the new interpretation and reboot it for today's millennial attitude. It's like, no, you're just trying to justify, what you're doing. And you know what? If it fails, you're going to just continue to blame Thundercats and not blame that, you had no business taking this property in this direction.
Right there, what you just said. First, let me say hello to Jake Juggalo and Tamara Shipper in the chat room. Thank you for joining us. But, no, what you just said there, that's funny. If this was to, like, let's say, not succeed, then they all of a sudden would blame us, the hardcore fans.
Yeah.
Well, you guys didn't support it. But, like, wait a second, didn't you just say it wasn't for us? It's like, that's what never makes sense to me. It's like, when you're doing this cartoon, you cannot think in any reasonable world that you're not going to have some type of reaction from the hardcore or the original fans. It's going to happen. So why would you do this? Why would you make this cartoon? And then when the backlash comes, yes, it comes to always saying, oh, it's meant for kids, it's not for you. And then they get pissed off because we're mad. It's going to upset us. It's like, why don't you try to make something that can please both generations? That way, you're getting not only more ratings for the show, but then if it led to other things and merchandise, you're having both groups of people. But when you're basically isolating and kicking off the original fans, now you're stuck with this so-called demographic of only the children that you hope will watch it and support it. And if they don't, it goes away, you get pissed, and then you come back to blame us. It's like, remember, you don't count. So don't blame us because we don't count, remember.
It's just a shitty situation, like all around. Because I'm going to throw a couple things out here, and you guys can respond to this. Tyler, first of all, do you remember when that 2012 Turtles cartoon came out and we were both just like, oh, fuck no. And then you watched it and then you were like, it's actually not that bad. I'm not saying this is going to be the case with this at all, but I just, what do you think made that show work so well?
Well, granted, my problem with Turtles is I didn't like the CGI animation. I'm not a fan of that with children. I like my traditional 2D animation. However, 95% of 2D animation is flat, lazy circles, talking and talking squares running around for 15, 20 minutes at a time, as opposed to fully detailed characters, heroes, villains, women's, buildings, locations. At least I could tell with the Turtles cartoon, it was not going to be, a lame-ass, yuck fest for kids. It was an action-adventure cartoon, and my problem was, clearly, I did not like the animation. Now, I did give it a shot. There were some things I do not like and still do not like about that show. Like Casey Jones, for instance, is just one of the examples I thought was just poor interpretations. Lame-ass attempts. But there was a lot of great stuff, so to me, it was a success. However, when you look at this, I said there's no comparison because they're clearly going for slapstick comedy.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't trying to compare it. I was just bringing up the fact that, it's it's just interesting. It's funny to me, when that came out, how we were both just like, oh no, because I was the same way with the animation. I looked at that and I was like, that looks kind of shitty. But then when I started watching it, I would say that is probably the best interpretation of the Turtles. I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit for this, but I would put that above the original cartoon because it took it seriously. It had a nice blend. I thought like all the side characters were pretty decent. I mean, you know, there's dud episodes and there's a few characters that are a little hit and miss. Like Casey Jones, you brought him up. His introduction was great, but over time, like his character was just sort of whiny and sort of, you know, diminished that. The other thing I guess I want to ask, because we're kind of focusing on Thundercats Roar so much here, is if you were both in charge and you're bringing the property back and you're doing a new animated show, what would you do? Would you just essentially kind of like update it enough to where it still looks pretty much like the original show and just carry on from that? What would you tweak? What would you make different if you were in charge of the show? Would you even have like that little blend of like, you know, with the Turtles cartoon where there is some comedy, but
no,
like, would it just be complete serious? Would you aim it towards kids? Would you make it more for like a teenage to adult audience? Like, I'll put you guys in the shoe of the executive that's like talking about this stuff. What would you guys do if you're bringing it back?
I would treat it just like they did for us when we were kids, when we seen Thundercats, Master Universe, G.I. Joe, and Transformers. Not that we're little kids, but we're young people, young adults. You know, treat us with some, you know, like, again, respect, that we can enjoy these adventures and try to interpretate. And as I've said so many times, use our imaginations, but feel like we can escape into these worlds. None of these new cartoons do I feel like I want to escape into their world, that I want to reenact an epic moment of something, of somebody saving somebody or a battle or something that was done that was quite memorable. I would try to do it like that. Now, yes, I wouldn't want it to look exactly like the original cartoons. You got to make it look, yes, somewhat more, if they, how do you want to say, clean, polished, whatever. I don't know what you would even call it, but you would have them look like they used. Okay, well, hell, for example, like MYP. I think they did a great job of how they reinterpreted or imagined the characters while they still, like, you could look at that and say, that is He-Man, that is He-Man, that's Teela, that's Teela, Skeletor, Skeletor, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But still, because like MYP did a great job of that, but also market it properly to where you know it's, and I've said that before, one day in time, it's always the same day and time. In whatever kind of medium, whether it's Netflix, whether it's Hulu, whatever the hell you want to call it, or even regular basic cable TV at Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock, whatever the hell, just a basic time you always know. And you know toys got to tie into this. And that's why I'm saying toys, because this all does come together. You got to have the toys along with the cartoon and have toys where they're case packed properly with 2 of each hero or 2 of each villain. Don't get 4 He-Mans, 1 Orko, 1 Man-at-Arms. Everything even case packed ratio. And have it, like I said, advertised properly. Hell, have some good commercials. We used to love seeing commercials for obviously the toys too when we were watching one cartoon or another. But definitely don't dumb it down. That's all I gotta keep saying is quit dumbing this shit down for kids and feeling like you have to make them laugh all the time. Or as we've seen in Steven Universe, poop jokes, throwing up, laughing, whatever. Why? We don't need that in a cartoon. Yes, you can have it for a funny cartoon, but if it's something like Thundercats and He-Man, you know that's not what they're about. So if you're going to bring them back, don't completely just change what the premise and basis of this property is about. I mean, God, Mark Taylor, could you picture when he's making He-Man? Do you think that's what he was fucking thinking? Is, man, let's have him just laughing all the time. Let's have him talk about farting and pooping and throwing up and having... This is shit that is not in anybody's mind. Yeah. So that's what I mean. If you're doing it, give proper respect to the original source material without completely twisting it. Yes, you know there's going to be a little tweak here and there, but I mean, they completely, with Thundercats, you have to agree, they did a complete 180. It just went the whole other way.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, I'm of 2 minds of the whole thing, because, like, I fucking hate it just as much as you guys. And yet I'm sitting here, I'm like, you look how kids are now and, like, what they're given and shit they like. Like, none of it makes sense to me. Like, and it's not even a thing, because I'm 33 and I look at people that are in their early 20s, and it's still like this really strong disconnect, because I'm like, you grew up in a world that always had internet constantly, pretty much. Like I didn't have internet for like the first 13, 14 years of my life, you know, and even then, like, internet wasn't fast and shit wasn't easily accessible. Like, everything's accessible to kids now, and like everything's sanitized, and like there's no bad things. That's probably why there's so much comedy in the cartoons now. It's just like
it's what Johnny said. Hey,
they think that kids can't handle like real world shit around them. Which,
no, and they can't. It's what Johnny said, no pun intended, but what Johnny said in Cobra Kai. What a bunch of pussies. I mean, that's what the kids are. Remember, it's like, what a bunch of pussies. He's like, you know, in my day, you had to come up to somebody's face to say something. Now you hide behind your keyboard. You know, it's like a different world. They can't really interact. So you're right. Let's make it really soft for everybody, which just sucks.
And that the thing is, too, is like, we're kind of getting into a weird, like, political space, but you got to think, like, with how kids are entertained these days, they're always in their tablets and everything. Like, and parents don't give a fuck, and that's a whole other thing that we've talked about before. But like, there's no human interaction. They don't have to really talk to a person or like look them in the eye and speak to them or know when to like greet someone properly or shake their hand. Like, all of this is just gradually disappearing, and you see how it's infused in most of the cartoons today. Like, yeah, okay, you had Dexter's Laboratory and stuff like that, but at least that stuff was like intelligent, kind of smart cartoons, if I remember correctly. Like, they had the comedy elements, but at least it was like, it made you think more. Now it's just flashing lights and, like you said, just poop and vomit and things like that. And
it's like you said, people really don't. I've noticed, like, the younger generation really don't like looking people in the eyes and kind of like don't like saying hello or thank you or anything. And like, I've watched kids go through this neighborhood. I never would have thought there would have been a day where I'd see a kid riding a big wheel, holding a cell phone, looking at it, seeing two buddies walking down the street, both looking at their cell phones. Like, what the hell? Just what happened to hanging out and living outside and interacting with your buddies and doing stuff? They have this thing everywhere. It's like they are just connected. I mean, it might as well just be surgically attached. It is so damn sad, but you're right. I mean, so I guess that's why they're pleasing them with this just constant nonsense of crap.
There's just so many elements to it, you know. It's like trying to be safe and not let kids hear bad words and things. And I'm just like, man, like, so many generations have grown up perfectly fine with the way things were. And now I really do genuinely feel like since 9/11, it's just been that decline of like, we gotta make everything safe, and saying, no, you can't say that, all this politically correct things. And like, yeah, you know, there's a place and time of you shouldn't say certain things, but man, like, how easily offended people get these days just constantly pisses me off. Like, nothing offends me other than lack of common sense and work ethic.
Bullshit we're talking about. I'm offended that, you know, they continue to molest these properties, you know, and think that it's all right to just make all these drastic changes and then just dismiss us all as if, like, you know what, we want everyone to have an opinion as long as you're agreeing with what we have to say here. Now, when they're challenged on something like that, they'll say, oh, no, we want you to have an opinion, and you can dislike it if you want. But you're not entitled to come out and tell us that, you know what, you don't like what we're doing and wish we would do something different. You know, I just often feel like, you know, they want to sit there and say that, oh, well, Thundercats was just a product of the 80s. He-Man was a product of the 80s. Oh, we can't relate to that. Well, I can tell you this right now. I didn't grow up with, you know, I mean, I saw a lot of the classic cartoons in syndication. But I also had He-Man, Thundercats, Turtles, Brave Star, Silverhawks, G.I. Joe, Transformers mixed in with Bugs Bunny, a lot of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, Tom and Jerry. Stuff that my dad watched when he was little. And even though, you know, I could say I did grow up with it, I was not there when it was brand new. I've never been a fan of John Wayne. But when I look at John Wayne, I understand why a generation of men thought John Wayne was the quintessential action hero. I get it. I do not denounce the fact that he was a very prominent action hero for that time, and as the action heroes evolved into Arnold, Stallone, and Van Damme and Chuck Norris, now we no longer have action heroes today. It's just guys who can't actually do it on screen and sped up. You know, I just kind of feel like it should not be a product of, or as if like, oh, well, they just can't relate to it. I'm like, why? Why can't they relate to it? What is it about the 80s cartoons where all the heroes were masculine, men and women, strong characters, villains that were despicable, and you love to hate them, and the heroes always save the day. Kids today can't relate to that. Why? Why can't kids relate to that? If they're enjoying, the goofiness of the superhero genre today, where you've got hell, if kids still like professional wrestling. Now, I know we all have our issues with current wrestling. A lot of people still like it. I personally don't like it at all. However, children are still appreciating, muscular heroes and villains duking it out for a belt. So the idea that kids are not, excited to see big, strong action heroes, whether it's in wrestling or in the current Marvel or DC movie, is preposterous. And the fact that they resort to I like to quote Jerry Seinfeld for this, that using farts and stuff like that, it's cheap, lazy humor. It's not original. You didn't take time to come up with something good, and that's what's become these cartoons. That's what kids get today. It's because it's cheap and it's lazy. It doesn't take much to work in a fart joke, a vomit joke, or picking your nose joke, or something that revolves around bodily functions, because it requires no effort or no thinking. And I think that's it's belittling to kids today, that they're not given the benefits of Batman the animated series, or a good Superman cartoon, or a quality Turtles cartoon, even though the last one was quite good and was a big hit. But just the simple fact that every new group that comes along thinks, oh no, kids wouldn't like that today, because they're always so quick to ignore, why was this popular? Oh, Reaganomics, bullshit. I wouldn't follow politics at age 3, 4, and 5. I'm watching what's on TV, and I wanted to be a big, strong, muscular dude who's kicking ass and getting babes. And that was not a sign of because I grew up with Ronald Reagan as president. Kiss my ass. It's because it worked. It resonates with young boys, because instinctively boys like to go outside and play, with play swords or toy guns. Little girls instinctively like to play with dolls and stuff like that. You play off of that. I'm not saying everyone has to be in it, because I know girls that were into G.I. Joe. I know boys who, probably like My Little Pony and Care Bears and stuff like that. Hell, I watched Care Bears too as a kid. But I'm just saying, Bugs Bunny was a success for so long, and we're playing it in syndication into the 90s. Those cartoons were done in the 40s. And someone has to come along and say, oh, kids, don't, they can't enjoy Bugs Bunny. That was a 1940s cartoon, and yet somehow was found in syndication on CBS and ABC, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. What, we're talking 50, 40 years in syndication, and no one bothered to come along and say, we need to just cancel Bugs Bunny and the Roadrunner show, because I just decided that kids can't relate to Bugs Bunny outsmarting the villain, being the alpha male that he is, and making fun of this guy who's trying to hunt him and eat him for dinner. No, kids don't want to. They don't want to watch that. They just want to watch this pansy bullshit, and it's just like, you know what? It's all in the hands of these morons who think they've got the right answer, and they refuse to listen to everybody that's kept Star Wars alive, or Transformers, or any of this stuff. All this Spider-Man, if they screw up Spider-Man's backstory, or Batman's backstory, or Superman's backstory in a new cartoon comic book movie, we're all looked upon as a bunch of meat with eyes for being upset for changing what has worked and resonated with popular culture for decades, because you're changing something that we all enjoy and like and can appreciate. And when some jackass decides he wants to put his own spin on it so he can get the real job he's afterwards, so he's going to leave victims all over the place to get to the real job that he wants, so they can say, I reinvented Thundercats. You just kind of feel like you guys are all missing the point. You're all just, I'm sorry. You know what? You guys are right. We all just have the brain of an ice cube, and we should just fall in line here and not have an opinion, and just rely on picking your nose jokes, sticking your thumb up your ass, and seeing like this little poof animation come out of your ass, and just rely that if they do anything for adults, it's got to be, more cheap animation. And just think, you know what? Adults can't appreciate cartoons unless it's just a bunch of yucks and jokes. And God, I'm out of gas, man. It's not fair. And another thing too, Thundercats continues to get the short end of the stick after all these years. I mean, the toy line was cut short. It ran in syndication for a while, but went dormant for so long. And then when they bring it back, it gets short-lived with the cartoon, short-lived with the toy line. When Mattel decides to do it, it gets short-lived again. And here it is. All right, Thundercats is being dismantled in front of us fans for the pure sake of, well, let's just, little Jimmy over here who's playing with his cell phone, we got to get his attention here. The millions and millions of fans from America, Scotland, England, Australia, South America, Canada, they don't matter. No, the kid over there who's playing the latest bullshit game on his cell phone, if we can get his attention there and talk his parents into thinking that this is what he wants instead of playing that cell phone there, by God, we'd have a hit on our hands. You know, we're people too. Why are we always so dismissed as just a bunch of whiny ass guys? Considering that, you know what? If we were all facing these people in person, I'd say we would all say the same thing. We may not cuss and say, we ask for your resignation, hope, you know, an apology, a $500 check written to us, and for you to be fired. You know, we say that on social media and stuff like that. I'm not going to say that in person, but I will challenge these people, given the opportunity. Why did you guys think this was a great idea? To continue to act as if like a serious take on Thundercats when you're not stopping to actually pay attention as to why it was not a success. You know, it's just so quick to blame the fans and never the people in charge. I mean,
well, I mean that's the entire thing. There's so many different factors in this. You have, as you said, the executives that are wanting to get little Timmy's attention away from the cell phone. You have the parents don't give much of a shit about anything anymore. You got the political part where it's like, you know, we're gradually as a whole becoming like pansies, and kids are being sort of raised to just, I don't know. We live in this little sanitized bubble that they want to try to keep everybody in. There's so many just dumb bullshit things. Like, you're talking about people online, like how they kind of put them all as like, but some people take it way too far. And we live in this world now that with social media, like, people go to these great lengths to just ruin someone's day. You know, like, I hate to even really bring it up right now, but Tyler, you can't see it. I'm sure Joe's might have glanced at it, but you see like what's kind of happening in the chat a little now is sort of like that's just the world we live in now. And it's just, I don't know. People want to argue all the time about anything.
Yeah, and I almost felt like, you know, when I heard about it, I really didn't feel the need to just say anything. I posted a picture making fun of my reaction, which was I'm sure you could find it if you go to Joe or Nathan and see something that we're all tagged in regarding it. But I feel like, you know what, I don't need to go. And I'm not someone that goes into cussing tirades. I'm really not. You know, I like to be as respectful as I can. And granted, yeah, I'm pretty hot about this because I hate to continue to see Thundercats being treated as if like it's never given, other than what we got in the 80s, a fair shot to say, look, it worked back then. You know, the same heroics can still work today. The same villainy can still work today. But no. It's just not fair. It's not fair that why can't we continue to get the same quality of entertainment that we all had as kids, even in the 90s? You know, not as many great as memorable cartoons, you know, but there were a lot of good ones that we were given entertainment that treated us like human beings, not like we're a bunch of, you know, morons, you know, that all we can, I respond to fart jokes and picking your nose and flicking boogers. That's what I respond to as a kid. You know, it's like, yeah, you can laugh at that, but it was nice to know that there was a wide variety of stuff for us back then, as opposed to, you know what, everything's the same now. At least back in the 80s and the 90s, you had action adventure cartoons in the 90s of like Batman and Spider-Man and various other superhero cartoons. But you also had stuff like on Nickelodeon with Rocco, Ren and Stimpy, Our Monsters, that you could get your mixed bag of flatulent humor, stuff like that. But you know what? You still had action adventure to sink your teeth into. And now,
you're completely right. Like, everything is kind of drifting towards the same. Like that new Turtles cartoon, probably going to be exactly like what they've done with Thundercats. Just going to have that other sort of art style, but it is probably going to be goofy as hell. I don't know why they're doing it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why they think that it's such a good idea. Like even the dogs kind of sound upset through the door over there. I might end up having to mute my microphone in a second, but like I know I said before, it's like the Steven Universe and all this stuff is working, so that's what they're going with. But it just, yeah, it's popular, but if there is the variety like we used to have, why not just do that? I don't know. Joe, you haven't really said much in a little while. What you got?
I think it's because pretty much early I exploded. As you heard, that's why I gave the rating before I started, because I'm not going to do that on Fans of Power, even as upset as I like to get at times. I try to keep it cool. But this one, I had to let it go. That's why I said it was at the beginning when I did it. I pretty much blew up at the beginning, but I had to. It's just because, I mean, like I said, I still don't get it. Like, Steven Universe, I mean, that one, at least, I think it averages like, 1 million viewers. Like, it's like still till now, it's like 1.3, then it would drop to maybe 800,000 people, then maybe 1 million. So I guess there's 1 million kids that enjoy the cartoon, so that's good for them. But no, I mean, to say about at least giving cartoons still like how it was in the 80s a chance when they say, well, it wouldn't work nowadays. That's why it's sad. It's unfortunate that we have to pass it on to our kids, our nieces and nephews.
And why are they saying it won't work?
Yeah.
Like, what is it that all those juggernaut properties that Hasbro still continues to keep trying to showcase, or all these other things? Why? I mean, has anybody ever stopped to question? Okay, why wouldn't G.I. Joe work today? Why wouldn't the actual genuine Generation 1 Transformers work today? Why wouldn't He-Man or Thundercats or Bionic 6, Brave Star? Why? What are you basing that on? Are you just saying that because you didn't grow up with it? So therefore, I didn't grow up with Huckleberry Hound to like the full on, like when it was brand new. I appreciate the cartoon. I didn't watch it religiously, but I get it. I get why that cartoon resonated with kids. Why it continued to play in syndication. I get Scooby-Doo. I like Scooby-Doo more for the monsters, but I get why Scooby-Doo still is popular today. I get it. I don't like it, but I understand it. I know why they continue to keep making Scooby-Doo straight to videos. I would never want to watch it, but it's understandable. These people who are saying it wouldn't work, what are you basing it on? Where's the evidence?
Yeah, dude, you fucking got me. Like, I hate Scooby-Doo, but the main reason I hate it is because everyone's like, oh, you look like Shaggy. I'm like, man, fuck you.
That's funny you said that. That's the reason that I never liked watching G.I. Joe. I used to get that in school. Everybody always say, yo, Joe. It made me not want to watch it. So that is one cartoon that I have not watched. I watched Transformers and He-Man and Thundercats, but not G.I. Joe, just because of, like you said. But at least tonight on Fans of Power, I am going to mention at least about Dan Rice and his kids, because what's great is he put a video on the other day, like just randomly. He went to some group and he was showing his 2 kids, Philip and Alex, and Philip just started doing his own Masters of the Universe story randomly because he has his kids watching Filmation, NYP. They love it. Like I said, that's what I was saying earlier. It's sad that the only way they can enjoy it is by us passing it on to our kids, our nieces and nephews and cousins, but won't be on TV. But Dan Rice's son, it was just so great to watching his head spin, because I can't remember how old he is. I mean, he's a youngster, but this kid was using his imagination. I just love seeing it, because it's like what I said. You just don't see kids using their imagination no more. And he was creating his own story. So I'm going to give some little shout outs to Dan and Philip and Alex tonight on Fans of Power. It was just cool because, like I said, that's the only way we can keep it alive, is passing it on to family and, I don't know, friends.
And that's the thing too, like, because we'll probably start wrapping up in the next like 15, 20 minutes. But the thing I do want to say that, as much as like Tyler's pissed off and Joe's pissed off, like I haven't been as pissed off as they have about all of this, but like the old stuff's still there. Like they can't take that away from anybody. Like that's always still going to be there. And it's unfortunate that, that is the direction that they've chosen to take with a property that, despite, because I feel like a lot of people, when it came to that 2010 show, it's almost, I said it to Joe, you blinked and it was gone. So I don't even think a lot of people really to me anyway, because I'm a little more casual about it. That like I see people just don't even thinking that existed. So to see that original show like continue on the way that it has, it says a lot. But I don't even really know where this
All right, what
thought
Nathan
train
just
was going. Go ahead.
is what we just talked about last week, Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
You know, Cobra Kai is a continuation of a film that came out in 1984 that people are continuing to celebrate, treasure, and buy merchandise to this day. And then you got the three guys responsible for it who come along and want to carry on what worked in those three films, especially the first film, and continue to carry on that legacy, pay respect, create a new story, but you're adding to the mythology and paying respect to it as well. Okay? Well, okay, why would they decide that let's try that? Okay, why would doing a continuation of Thundercats from the storyline that had gone in the 80s, or essentially retelling that with a minor character tweak here or there, okay, what, why?
I don't
Why
know.
wouldn't, I mean, Star Wars. Star Wars is older than all of the stuff we're into. And yet kids are still watching the original trilogy along with the god-awful prequels and all the other spin-offs and stuff like that. Point is, they're still watching the 1977 first film, the 1980 Empire Strikes Back, and the 1983 Return of the Jedi. Kids are still watching that. Why? Why is it okay to ensure or that kids are still watching all these old movies from the 80s, you know, but somehow they got in their head that, granted, yes, it's Star Wars. I get that. But still, if your argument is, oh, it's a product of the 80s, kids today wouldn't understand that. I guess that explains fucking Star Wars.
I don't know.
Yeah, when you got heroes and villains that are getting their limbs cut off and being cut apart with laser swords and being shot at with lasers and shooting people. People are dying and falling into giant vaginas in the sand and being eaten alive. The kids today wouldn't understand that. They wouldn't get into that. You know, oh, well, I guess apparently they do. And the idea of a walking corpse that comes out of a tomb that wants to make life miserable for these beings that challenge his authority on a planet, along with beautiful jungle women and cool looking robot bears from another planet and other great heroes and villains. No. Kids clearly wouldn't get that today.
I don't know. I guess it's just all in line with the executives. You know, who fucking knows? Like, how does something like Cobra Kai come to pass, and then like you have those same types of people in the same industry? Because we talked about it last week. Cobra Kai was written by the guys that did fucking Harold and Kumar.
Yeah,
but it still shows that like there is a possibility to like make things good and not alienate your fan base. Do you think it would be any different? I haven't. I kind of like keep looking down a lot. I just. Do you think any of this would be different if we had kids? Do you think our opinions of what these shows wouldn't be as strong? Like,
I've already told my brother. Like we both have said we want Bryant, my nephew, to be introduced to Thundercats, to be introduced to Turtles in the original Turtles film. My brother likes the original Transformers, so he's game to make sure my nephew, his son, is introduced to all this stuff when he gets a little bit older and can actually understand, you know, action-oriented stuff, because he's really into, you know, like Baby Einsteins and Puppy Dog Pals and stuff like Muppet Babies that's currently on, stuff like that. Because, you know, I'm like, no, I would not want if I had a child to see this. It's below substandard quality. You know, where I go back and rewatch this stuff and I enjoy it even more as an adult, and not strictly out of nostalgia. And I say that wholeheartedly. I have no reason to embellish my opinions and thoughts on this room or the rest of my dwelling on stuff that was released in the 80s and early 90s. And I'm not someone who's strictly holding on to my childhood. I'm saying that these are characters that have stuck with me because they grow and get better and better with age. You can appreciate the storytelling, the characters that they were evil just to be evil. And that the heroes are going to do whatever it takes to save the day, and you want to see them get a beautiful woman at the end of the day when the adventure is over, or they save the kingdom, get high praise, because those are those are thoughts and feelings that we can all relate to. Who wouldn't want to save the day? And even if you're a woman, who wouldn't want to save the day? And a woman gets a handsome young man at the end of the episode and beats the evil villain. Us guys, it doesn't even regardless of sexual orientation, who would not want to save the day and get a striking man or woman, and after you beat the villain and all that stuff. Those are all things that I love seeing as a 3-year-old. It just got better and better, and I just felt like it's the classic archetypes of storytelling, and they act like that doesn't work anymore just because we say so, because that requires thinking and thought. Those guys who were behind Cobra Kai, yes, they made some trash. However, they showed clearly by Cobra Kai that these guys have talent. They can tell a dang good story from something that happened over 30 years ago and weave it and make you want to go back and rewatch all 3 original films and appreciate all the new stuff. And
Joe would only go watch the original 2.
Well, that's just Joe likes to be ugly to me, and thinks that he's entitled, just kind of dump on everything that he doesn't like. But if I don't,
see, now you're like that executive that's like shitting on the people for not liking something. I'm just kidding, just giving you a hard time.
That's why Joe hides behind a mask and tells you good, how to save money at McDonald's.
I'm a coward.
You know what? Like earlier in the episode, I wish that Joe wasn't wearing a mask, because I would have liked to have seen.
If you would have seen, I'm telling you, that would have made such a difference if you'd have seen the expressiveness on my face. Because I get quite expressive, but you can't get that with the mask. That's why the impact probably can be there when you're listening to the audio, but as you two watching, you're just looking at a fucking same thing every single week, so it's like you can't see the expressions or anything, so that must be a little unnerving or strange to look at. But no, I'm gonna say something about Dan Rice real quick, and again, I can't remember which page he did it on, but when he was talking about, he has his kids watching Filmation NYP, and they, loved it. He said even reading the new DC, 52 stuff, they were enjoying that, I think, story as well. But when it came to the Thundercats Masters of the Universe crossover, I know that he's had plenty of conversations with Tyler, but there was one particular, I think it was after he read the first one. I think he said after his son looked at the first one, and after it was over for that crossover, he's like, what the hell was that about? Like, even his kid just didn't get it. It was garbage, that crossover. But yeah,
it clarifies that Thundercats is not being treated with the dignity and respect that it deserves. That everybody just thinks, just throw them in there together and you'll just buy it off the name alone. Like, we don't need quality storytelling in He-Man and Thundercats. Hell with that, man. We're just playing strictly on nostalgia for those idiots on the internet and on various websites and Facebook pages. They'll buy it and they don't care.
Yeah, I used up all my energy early. In case everybody's wondering why I still ain't talking, I kind of I blew it quick. I ran it for that 10 minutes with a lot of F-bombs and things that I don't do on Facebook.
I thought it was beautiful.
You thought Andrew Dice Clay was wearing a mask?
That.
Yeah, I let it go, but right now it's like I'm just kind of exhausted. I said everything I could. It's like I don't want to sit here and repeat it again.
This episode has been quite draining, honestly. Like, I'm sitting here like, God, like, just. Then again, I also mowed the yard before I came in here to do the show, so maybe that plays a part into it as well. But man,
I don't want to always think that stuff from the past is superior and things from, currently now and they can't get better. Because, for example, when I was watching stuff in the 80s, it's like Tyler said, I was watching they'd have cartoons from the 70s, 60s, 50s. There's those amazing Disney movies to where if you want to say how I, would think, oh, only Masters of the Universe has the superior animation and the best cartoons and effects. It's like, okay, but then you look at those Disney cartoons from, 20 years, 30 years previous, and their stuff is amazing with their animation that just destroys Masters. So, no, there's no way I'm saying that stuff now can't look like the past, because I was giving credit to the past in the past.
Yeah. It's so weird to think about that, you have all these ADD cartoons now, and yet, going to animated films, you have a company like Pixar that releases things that kids also love. So I'm sitting here well, all right, it seems like their attention spans are really bad now, but yet these Pixar films, because the Coco was really well done, and I'm sitting here thinking like, well, okay, clearly you can put quality shit out for kids, and it deals with themes that are like real world things that they're gonna encounter as they grow up. But oh man, like,
Yeah, we can't have the risk of a child crying to his mom, because then she's got to go and write an angry Twitter tweet to an exec at Pixar, and then we got a squeaky wheel here. Let's shut down production here and pull it from the theaters. We had a child, poop his pants, and the mom thought that it was crying because we all thought the gang from Toy Story 3 was all going to meet their demise. So we can no longer write emotional content for our films. It's like, no, it just shows you that what. You can still write stuff that adults and kids. Hell, me and Nathan went to go see Toy Story 3. 2 grown adults went to go see Toy Story. We don't have kids. We went to see it because Toy Story 2 were great films. So some people decide, it's important to get the adults in as well, not just kids. Because hell, when you take kids to a Marvel movie, most of them aren't even paying attention. Like, I gotta go to the bathroom, Daddy. And the parents
not now, damn it.
Movie.
Just in case I'm covering the chat, I didn't know if they were going to start talking about Deadpool 2, and I do not want to see anything.
Oh, yeah, no, they already said no spoilers.
Okay, just in case, so I just blocked it with Jake's mask.
I talked to Tyler about Deadpool 2, and he was like, yeah, I think I'm not going to go to the theater and see it. So he has finally hit that superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
He finally hit that place. I would like to go see Deadpool 2, but that gets me back in my movie theater rant. The world is just a completely different place. It feels like it is. You look back at all the decades, like you don't even if you just look at the 70s, 80s, and 90s, they all had distinctive things about that decade that when it is brought up, and it just seems like the last 18 years have just been one ball of like the random bullshit, like one of the cartoons now. Just random. Look at that.
We're not making, we're not getting legendary musical acts anymore. It's all just what's popular at this moment, and then they're completely forgotten. The same thing with animation or sports stars. I mean, it's we have LeBron James, you got Tom Brady, legendary athletes, but for the most part, what's popular right now is only short-lived. There is nothing leaving its mark anymore. It's just not, because I don't know if it's strictly people. People are not really. I mean, I kind of push it up to the quality of the entertainment. I mean, I don't think that music today, and not to get on a side rant, but it doesn't come off as like actual music. It's just a bunch of and repeating the same 3 sentences over and over again, and then re-releasing it a year later with this kind of techno upbeat, reboot bullshit mix, and then people think, by God, it's so popular and selling out. We got calendars of them over here at Walmart and Target. We're selling panties and stuff like that with the guy's face on it. And then 6 months later, it's completely forgotten.
Guys,
there's nothing sticking around long.
We're old. That I think that's what's happened to us. Because think about it. Like think about like your grandparents and even your parents. Was there ever like it's happened? Like my parents would be like, "Why are you listening to that?" Like I don't understand it. That's us now. We are them. We're old. We look at this shit now. Kids are eating this shit up, and we're looking at it like I don't get it.
Yeah, but like like in terms of music, I'm not a music guy. I'm the last person to work with talking music. But there's so much music that my parents grew up with that I absolutely love, or music from the 80s that I may have missed as a child, that when I go back and listen to, I think is damn great. And it's like, I feel like, well, how come I'm my parents' child, and I can appreciate films and movies and entertainment that they grew up on? I'm like, well, that doesn't necessarily make them, a product of their time, because I can still appreciate what they enjoyed. I think because there's a reason behind it, because it was quality entertainment from either music, movies, cartoons, television shows. I mean, I could sit there and say, I don't have any access to watch it, but I started watching Mary Tyler Moore on Nick at Night, along with the Dick Van Dyke Show and a bunch of other random stuff. Sanford and Son. watched it in reruns. I didn't grow up with it. I saw it in syndication. I didn't grow up with the brand.
Did you just mention? That's what's funny, yeah, because it's funny you just brought up Sanford and Son, like you said, how you could see and enjoying things that maybe weren't a product of your time. I remember my grandfather when he came to America, and when he was getting into a lot of the culture and enjoying things. When we'd go over to my grandparents when I was a kid, he had a record of Red Fox in his comedy, and he would play that, and it was some of the dirtiest stuff for its day. And I'm just a kid. I'm like 5, 6 years old. I'm listening to Red Fox and doing this cursing and stuff that I wouldn't understand and loving the hell out of it. But it's just bizarre. You bring up Sanford and Son, which I love Sanford and Son, but I remember my grandfather, like I said, playing that big old Red Fox record, and I'm just laughing my ass off. Some things I know because, ooh, that's a dirty word. Then I didn't understand half the stuff, but as I grew older, I started listening, and then I'd understand it. Just enjoyed it. But yeah, it's funny. And I want to say one thing. I forgot. Nathan always asks me, this is the quick little side rant. You want to have Joe Amato's, what do you call it? Like when I say
your thrifty tips of the week?
Thank you. Joe Amato's thrifty tips of the week. Now, this is another good one.
Is it McDonald's again?
No, this one's either a gas station or maybe like, let's say a 7-Eleven or something.
So it's worse than a McDonald's?
It's actually good. You go into some of these places and for like $1.99, you can get a sealed bag of tortilla chips, and then next to it, it says, use as much chili and cheese as you want. So you'd normally pop open the bag of chips, put it into this plastic container, and squirt a lot of chili and a lot of cheese as much as you want, and then put the container and seal it and go home. But here's the thing. By the time you get home, you got soggy chips. So this is Joe's way of doing it. Just get the plastic container that you use to put the chips in. Don't open the chips. Take that container, load that sumbitch up with as much chili to go way to the top and cheese, seal it, go home, and then when you go home, you open the bag of chips and you can dip it in there. And even after using those chips, you got a whole bunch of chili and cheese that you can eat. So for $1.99, get as much chili and cheese as you want. Look at Nathan and Tyler. They're looking like I'm insane. That is a great saver. It's a money saver, and you get a lot more food, and you don't sog up your tortilla chips. Bam. I'm not poor, okay? I'm just sort of poor. Leave me alone.
I got nothing, man.
Well, hey,
all right. Do the people at the convenience store kind of give you the same look?
No, they don't care because it says take as much chili and cheese as you want for your chips. So I just don't put the chips in there. I keep the chips bag. I don't open them up, and I just jack that chili cheese up into that container, fill it up, and then I go home and I just dip them, and then I got some chili cheese I can eat. You can eat that, or you can have some for tomorrow and dip some other food in it. So that's what you do when you got a lot of money. So yes, anybody goes to the gas station, 7-Eleven, you could do that. They won't give you no eyeballs. I promise. I've never seen you two.
A bummer for having sat through that uninspiring. Why the hell? Yeah, because I'm going to go to my local 7-Eleven and go get chili because Joe tells me to.
Hey,
I'm like I gain nothing from that.
Well, for anybody out there,
he's quoting some Billy Madison. It sounds like
you're right, and may God have mercy on your soul. No, but if anybody out there does have a gas station, 7-Eleven that they go to, and they've gotten the stuff that I'm sure people, I ain't the only one that's done it. So if you go there, now you know a better way. You don't sog up your chips, and you get more food, and you save that money. Stretch that dollar like Joe does. Man, I could stretch $1 for fucking 10
Man,
times.
your stomach from that though must be like a steel cauldron. Because I imagine just eating that much chili from 7-Eleven is not going to end well.
Okay. Well,
everybody spends most of his time on the toilet. That's where he gets these ideas. Like, how can I put less harm and I almost feel like, Joe, if you're going to do this, make sure after every time you finish, you say, "I swear I'm not poor."
I should. Well, hey, here's a thrifty. Okay, a quick thrifty one.
Oh man, bonus thrifty tips. Oh shit.
Yes, a bonus thrifty. Right now, Walmart, of course, they sold out almost everywhere. I don't know if they probably might get restocked, but Walmart has 16 different DVD covers that Deadpool has invaded. But here's the cool thing. It comes with $5 movie cash. Some of those movies are $4.96, some are $5.96, whatever. But let's say you got one for $4.96, and it came with $5 movie cash, and you're like me, and you can go to the theater, and before 6 o'clock, any movie's $5. You take that $5 movie cash, there's your admission for free. So you get 2 movies for the price of 1. You see Deadpool 2, and you might get Predator on DVD with Deadpool on the slipcover, and of course you get the movie. But hell, 2 for 1 instead of just one thing. Now that is actually a thrifty tip. If you haven't gone to Walmart, go check out the movies and get your cash.
But you could just get Movie Pass and do the same thing.
You get 2 movies for free, so you get Predator and
I guess
Deadpool
you
for the
don't
price
really
of
get
1.
it
See,
free,
for $5,
but like I think you pay like $10 a month, and you can go see like a movie a week or something.
See, so there you go. I'm trying to save you money.
Yeah,
You
but
get a
you
movie
still
a
have to
month.
buy those movies at Walmart, so you're spending roughly the same amount of money.
No, not for me, because
And
for $5 I bought Predator, and also it got me into Deadpool 2. So for $5 I got to see Deadpool 2, and you have Predator for $5 total. That's what I mean. You get 2 for 1.
Own Predator. You should not be listening to this podcast if you don't already own Predator.
Or you could get Office Space, or you could get My Cousin Vinny, or you could get Revenge of the Nerds. So see,
well, he's just talking like you can get the movies to get those specific covers with Deadpool on them.
Yeah,
they are
free.
They are pretty cool.
That's what I mean. So you're getting for $5, it's 2 for 1 instead of just going to spend $5 on Deadpool 2 and you get nothing in return. At least this way you got a movie. Whether you already have it or not, it's a cool ass cover. See, you got to have Deadpool holding that squirt or water gun on the cover of Predator. So he's mocking what Tyler, he loves Predator, so he probably hates that. He's like, oh god, fucking Deadpool's on the cover of Predator. Well, how great that is, Joe.
Reaching a point where this whole Deadpool phenomenon is just becoming a complete overkill. You know, it's I feel like it's just strictly based on people who like to go to Hot Topic and buy Deadpool eating a chimichanga.
Well, dude, isn't that kind of like most things that Hot Topic has in the store, though, when you think about it? Like, I almost feel like one of us is about to reach a point where we're just like, man, you know what? Everything just sort of sucks now. Not everything. They still make, there are still good cartoons that are getting made. There are still good movies that are getting made. Like, yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff. And yeah, maybe things of the last 18 years that have come out don't hold that ground and stay as memorable as all this other stuff that we are really into. But yeah, I felt like there's going to reach a point where it's like, man, everything's just terrible now.
Well, I think we've blown our load. We're done.
Man,
look
at Tyler. Just look at Tyler. He's exhausted.
Yeah, you got to wrap us up, Nathan.
I told Nathan, I said, this conversation is going to be emotionally draining for me. And now I just I feel like I need to have an IV hooked up to me right now. You know, I'm just going to go into this catatonic state. I'm just going to become a vegetable when this is all done. Just.
But here's the thing too. Like, I'm really glad that we had this conversation. I'm really glad we had this conversation.
Oh, well,
because like it was something that needed to be talked about, and because we always touched on it on other shows of like, hey, like this and whatever. But also, mark my words, they're gonna bring Masters back, and it's probably gonna be that fucking same goofy art style. And I feel like Thundercats Roar is gonna do pretty well with the kids. Hey, look, Joe switched it up a little bit.
I became Jake Juggalo. Yo, this is your boy, this is your homie, Jake Juggalo. I'm coming here on Beyond Retro for this special, just for this one time. So I just figured I'd put on a mask and I'd say something to you. So go ahead. If you guys want to wrap it up, you wrap it up.
Anyone have any more final thoughts? Tyler, you got anything else that you want to get out of your system before we're done?
You know, I hope people enjoyed what we had to say here today. You know, I'm here because I love Thundercats to death. I love it. It's up there. I mean, right, just slightly below He-Man in terms of like, you know, property that I treasure with all my heart. I don't want to see this property turned into the monstrosity of just lazy writing and cheap animation, because the people who are doing it have no attraction to action adventure stories. And I mean, I think it's great that so many people came out and showed their disgust for it so much that Warner Brothers pulls it from YouTube.
Yeah, I actually just went and checked that, and I was like, yeah, it's definitely not there. And the thing is too, maybe there still is hope, because at the end of that it said 2019. It didn't specify when. So with all this backlash, maybe
it's definitely a first, man.
Like forward.
Yeah,
because like I said, possibility.
Oh no,
what's that, Joe?
No, it's like I was saying earlier. I mean, that was a shocker. I've rarely seen an actual company, then when they put something up, put it as unlisted. But yeah, the only way you could find that is through previous links. But if you were to search in for that Thundercats Roar by WB, you're not going to find it. There's like another one up that's by some other random person. I don't know if it was like movie. What? Hold on one second. Just give me about 10 seconds because I think I had the link right here. Oh, it's come. Oh, Movie Maniacs DE. They have Thundercats Roar. It's his official announcement. Here's the thing: since the Warner Brother one was pulled, this one has more views than the Warner Brothers. It's got like 172,000 views, and out of the 172,000 views, 17,000 dislikes and only 1.6 thousand likes. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, and if you go to the comments, I mean, it is just it's a storm. I mean, it's like you go in there, it's just there's gonna be lightning bolts, explosions. That's a hell of a thing to go into. So it's showing, yeah, just people laying into it. But you're right. I mean, I guess for kids, we'll say it again. Yes, for kids. Even though they like to say it's a love letter to Thundercats fans.
See, that's
like, wait, that's what? Yeah,
right
that is. Oh, the guy. Yeah, the whoever the hell the guy is with the bun on his head. I don't know where else it was put. But
I like what Tyler, he called it like a bun tail, and we'll just call it that because it's not really a man bun. He just like lazily is like, oh, I'm gonna put a ponytail right here, and it just looks like shit.
It sits up like this hipster man buns, but it looks like a tail, so I just called it a man bun tail.
Yeah, I also hated the part in that video where he's like, well, you look at that iconic intro from the original, and you know that you gotta have a good intro, and they show you the intro, and it looks like fucking shit too, and it's just like, man, like, wow, where did they pull that guy from?
I don't know.
Tyler touched on earlier. Look at the DVDs, look at the figures. It's like that would be like Tyler just not being into He-Man at all. It's like, oh, clearly I love He-Man, and it just pans to him, and it shows like a He-Man and a Skeletor figure or something. That's basically about it. Like, I don't know. Fuck.
It's like, look, that moron propped him down in this office. Make it look like this guy, this is his own personal office. Or even if it is, throw some stuff in there and make sure we get Warner Brothers DVD release focus in this to show that this guy's the real deal. You know, those DVDs are accessible. In fact, some Walmart still had them like relatively dirt cheap. You know, those sets, you know, so it's, I mean, they never pick anybody who is an actual legitimate hardcore fan. It's always somebody who says they're a fan and clearly knows nothing of the mythology and the characters, and most importantly, doesn't know how to tell a good story. I mean, you look at comic books and things like that, they've had multitudes of writers on every superhero. Somebody comes along and does a great run. Another guy comes along and does an even better run. Another guy comes along and creates a memorable villain. Like, good writing can help the story and mythology evolve. But when you got someone who decides, I don't want to do that. I want to be silly and goofy, you know, because it hasn't worked for Spider-Man or Batman or Superman, Justice League or X-Men. Good, solid storytelling, good character development, or just, you know what I always want, a good action-adventure story with a beginning and an end and a great fight in between. It's the simplest thing. I only want the simplest things, because they're often the best things. And they've done it for years with comic books and various other things, but no, we can't do that with 80s cartoons. You know, it's just because, well, they're lazy in their writing, so therefore they're lazy in their logic.
Well, here's what we need to do when the idea comes around. If that Masters movie gets made and they're like, hey, let's go ahead and do another cartoon. Here's what we should do. You guys have that connection with Larry. He's kind of still hovering around the industry. Tyler, you've already written a story for a He-Man mini comic, right? So we need to get you guys in the door. That's what we need to do. We need to put you guys in the writing room and put out the love letter to these franchises. We'll make it happen. Hopefully someone will catch wind of this and we'll move forward. And I'll just sit here and do the show alone, and then occasionally bring you guys on and be like, oh, hey, look, here they are. Too good for the show now.
We got our ties, suit and ties.
We
snugly look down upon you. Yeah, that could kind of work. Yeah, we could do that to you, man. Could you imagine if, like, like all these great DC cartoons have been popping up, the ones with Batman, they have ones with Superman, Justice League, all that stuff. Picture all them looking like this new Thundercats and all being comedy and goofy like that. Picture if that just happened. Now, I know we already said Teen Titans Go. I'm not talking about that because that's something different. But picture our serious Batman or Superman or any of them. Imagine that in just this new Thundercat style. I wonder what the backlash would be on that. But that could be for another day, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. Yeah, well, and I think Tyler mentioned Turtles again. We'll see how that turns out too.
Yeah, people showed up in droves to piss all over it, you know. And then you got your people that like to do. Come on, you guys need to give it a chance, man. You need to stop dumping on it, man. You need to just like, all right, go powder your pussy somewhere else here, man. You know, we're not.
Here's the thing too. When it comes to that is, you know, opinions are a funny thing. Whatever the joke, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one. I will say this when it comes to if Thundercats Roar does make it to air and when Turtle shows up, I will go ahead and watch them just to confirm for sure that I'm like, all right, yeah, that
will too.
As bad as it looked.
I didn't need to watch the new Ghostbusters movie to know it was going to suck balls, and I didn't.
See, for me when I watched that was just morbid curiosity, and I was really drunk. But even then, and the same thing with those Bay Turtles films, you know? I'm just like, I know it's not going to be good, but I'm just going to confirm it for myself that it's bad. And
I'll do the same thing. I want to make sure that when I'm saying something that at least, yes, this is definitely why I think I didn't like it. Because I already seen from this Thundercats, again, they've said, it's kids. Okay, I understand that. We've heard that a million times. You know, it's for kids. But I'll still watch it and just see if it's really that horrible in my mind and think, oh, God, do kids really like it? But yeah, sure, I'll watch it. And then I'll come right back here to say how much I hate it.
But regardless, it's going to happen anyway.
It is.
There's not much that anyone really can do unless it's just those guys that are like, all right, yeah, fine, drop the project or whatever. Maybe that'll happen, but I don't know. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I think it's going to be interesting, and I really, really hope that either in the comments on Facebook or if anyone wants to leave comments here, if you disagree with this, that is completely fine. If you want to bring up the points of like, well, yeah, like I was saying earlier that they're not making it for us. If they want to hammer that in, cool, whatever. Like you are, and everyone's entitled to the opinion of everything. So it looks like shit.
No, like I said, and I'm not going to insult nobody. I never do that. It's just like I said, it's just everybody remember to be fair. If you're ready to spit stuff at somebody saying something about like, oh, this is not for 40-year-old guys, it's for the kids. It's like, okay, then don't get pissed when they do the same thing to you when you're collecting your action figures. Because I've seen that happen in groups. People will attack. They will be nasty. And I'm not talking about you, Chris Simpson, but I'm talking about I've seen people say that where they're always picking like, this is not for you, you 40-year-olds. And then they're sitting there like, yeah, why do you collect those action figures and dolls that are for kids? Oh boy, do those same people get pissed. So that's what I mean. I'm not insulting nobody, and I know nobody's insulting me back. But again, for those that do it, remember it comes back to you sometimes. So watch what you say because, like I always say, there's two sides to a coin. Just always be careful with that.
Just keep an open mind. It's okay to think something looks like shit, but if someone wants to like really fight you on it, just I don't know.
And yes, I do insult you. And Simpson, yes, I do insult you all the time on Facebook, you shit. So, damn it, Simpson, just shut it, Simpson. Oh, that felt good. All right, well, how are we going to wrap it up now? Before
I guess I'll just go ahead and jump into the spiel here. Because I think I'm going to put something with Thundercats. I might alter the title so it might get some more, like, eyes on it. But, if you're on YouTube and you've come across this and you've enjoyed what we've had to say, or you want to listen to some of the other things that we've talked about, go back, check out all the other videos, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you get notified when we go live. Make sure you check in the links below. We always put the Podbean links. I got the audio archive, so if you don't want to go back and watch all the videos, you can go back and listen to us. Link to the Facebook page, so you can go ahead and join that and maybe get in some dialogue with some of the other people, or leave a comment on there. Let us know how we're doing. If you disagree with everything that we've said, let us know. Or comment on the video here. Email us too if you're not brave enough to have it to where everyone else can see it, and send it to beyondretro84@gmail.com. And Joe's shirts that he sells, been putting the link in there too. So go buy some of Joe's shirts.
And you don't ever have to do that, but I do appreciate it.
It'll help so he won't have to go to 7-Eleven and fill his bag up with all the chili and cheese.
Yeah, I guess so. I get an extra few bucks there or here and there. Yeah, I don't have to take as much. I still will, but I guess I should.
I told Nathan, Joe, I had gotten I purchased a piece of music from the Cobra Kai soundtrack, like the training montage music.
Uh-huh.
And when I was listening to it, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I just had this goofy ass vision in my head because I montages are always fun, especially if they're like people training stuff like that. I told Nathan about this. It's the most random thing, but it just made me laugh. And I'm picturing like, what there's just a montage of the music Slither that's used in Cobra Kai, and the three of us are used in it. And in the montage, I'm in the gym like training real seriously. And then it pans over to like Nathan's over in the corner just dancing randomly, because that's what Nathan does in public. He just breaks into these random dances.
Not as much anymore, but I definitely used to show off some moves back in my day.
Are these good moves or are these corny moves?
It was making fun of like trendy music. Like we would walk past a bench and it would glide on air, making fun of the music that was playing in there.
All right, Joe, you watch modern wrestling, right? On occasion.
Yeah.
All right. You know how Shinsuke Nakamura kind of does his little things?
Yeah.
It's similar to that. I'm sure some people would probably mistake it for me having a seizure.
That would be kind of cool. I mean, not you having a seizure, but I could see you doing the Shinsuke Nakamura.
You can see why I would make Tyler laugh. All right. Anyway, go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah. But I just picture like this montage of that is, where, Nathan's over in the corner dancing. And then we pan over to Joe, and Joe's got a different bag of McDonald's, like eating it, kind of holds it up, thumbs up, and gives it a thumb. We cut back to like I'm running around the track. It pans back. There's Nathan dancing in the corner doing his Andrew WK impression. Pans over to Joe. This time he's eating a Big Mac, and chunks of lettuce like falling out from below his ass there, and he just holds his thumb up there.
That's all I keep doing.
Just constantly cutting to different footage. I'm taking it seriously, and Nathan's just in the corner dancing somewhere.
And Joe don't give a shit.
Joe's eating a hot foot sundae, and he's got it smeared all over his mask, and he keeps falling, and he's like, "Yeah, man, thumbs up." But to the music of Slither, I just thought it's goofy as hell, but stuff like that just makes me laugh. And I'm in the gym like it's just a funny visual. Like Joe's got
Well, he was telling me too, where he was just like, I think about this while I'm at work, and sometimes I just have to look down because he doesn't want to be like these people are going by, like he's just over there laughing to himself.
And I've done that. I know exactly what Tyler's doing, where I'll let my imagination get the best of me, and I start thinking of something, I'm laughing, and it might be in public, and people are like, "What the fuck? Like, you look insane. You look like that crazy guy who would walk down the street just talking to himself." I've done this.
Joe, they're probably just looking at you because you're wearing the mask.
I know. No, it's funny. I never really thought about that. Not to end with me talking about food, but I'm just gonna say it's weird. I never realized how. Man, I got a really high metabolism. I mean, you hear how I talk and I am. I'm wiry and stuff. So I like can eat a lot of food, but it just burns away. It's like I don't retain any weight.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I never thought until that's the one thing I don't like anybody ever doing. If I'm sitting there doing something and we could joke, I never like somebody ever touching my food, like wanting to grab or touch. I get pissed. I mean, that's the one time when Joe loses it, is when it's about food. And then I started looking back when I was a kid. We'd go in the coat room at school. And this is like first grade, second, third, fourth, whenever the hell it was, all the way probably through grade school. You have your supplies in there too. And when the teacher was like, "Joe, could you go get some tissues, get some glue or whatever?" Because I was like the one, because Amato is, last name. I'm always sitting in front. So I was always the one that had to get the stuff. I would go in there and I would open up the kids' lunchbox and bags and look for like chips or Doritos.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're eating the other kids' lunches? Oh,
you're like the kid in Kindergarten Cop. You're eating other people's lunches.
Well, it's weird. I never thought of it, and I'm not a thief. Trust me, I'm not a thief. But I started having these memories of I would take like maybe 3 or 4 of the Doritos, then seal it back up, close that, look at another. I was always taking bits and chips. I was like, my God, I was terrible. I was so weird when it came to food. When we would watch the Electric Company, I talked about this too. Like, the Electric Company would have like Spider-Man during it and all this other stuff. And it would be our little half-hour to where we're watching television and learning. And the teacher would pass out cinnamon graham crackers. And I remember when I got my graham cracker, I would lick all the cinnamon off during the show. Then I would take that and wrap it in a little napkin, and I put it in my desk. And then during class, I would sneak open the desk and break off a little piece and eat it so I could eat throughout the day. Man, I had weird fucking issues with food. I've been doing this with food for, I guess, years of trying to, God, scavenge. It's bizarre. It's just weird. I swear I'm not poor, but I did. I did these weird things. The most disgusting thing I did, which, well, I used to lick pretzels and throw them back in the bag at home. And I told my family about this about 15 years later. They said, we were eating that shit. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like a kid. I didn't know. I just would lick the salt off of those pretzels and throw them right back in the bag. Oh, that's it. I'm done. I'm done.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah, and they would eat them.
Joe is an enigma.
I never thought of that.
Certainly one of a kind.
Yeah.
Eating other kids' lunches and saving other stuff for later. And wow.
Licking food.
I feel bad. I never thought about the results of my family, though, having to eat those pretzels. But
Yeah,
you picture them getting sticky and drying in the bag.
At one point where they're like, oh, these are kind of soggy.
Well, I mean, I never thought
if you do that to a pretzel, like it doesn't really retain like that hardness structure of the pretzel. So I imagine if they're like, man, these are like stale or something.
Well, they'd stick together in the bag, but I never thought of it. It's a terrible thing I used to do, and yeah, that was terrible.
How long did you wait until you told your family about that?
It was about 15 years later.
I
just tell them I never thought of it because.
Was it like an intervention where they actually caught you? Realize, you know what, we need to stop Joe. And Joe's still wearing, like, Joe, can you take the mask off? We need to talk to you. And you've got chocolate smear all over your mouth. What are you talking? I got no problem.
Oh my God.
No, it's not.
Quick, someone do a photo or like a GIF of like Joe's mask on, and when it comes up, it's that kid from Heavyweights that gets caught with the burger in the toilet.
Found it.
It's, you know, I never thought, I mean, really, all these things, as you're saying it, more food stuff comes to mind. It's like, for me, now, I'm sure I'm not the only one. You guys have probably done this honestly. This is being truth. When it came to a steak, I don't like cutting my steak because it's like wasting time for the juices that start getting into the plate. I do pick up my steak and eat it with my hands. But I mean, I do this at home all the time. So,
I'm looking at Tyler down there. Sorry.
You guys, you got to tell me you at least do that or have done it.
No, I've never eaten a steak with my hands. Do you have like A1 or anything on it when you do that?
No, I'll dip it in sour cream and butter, but that's about it.
I guess it makes sense if the steak itself is like dry and doesn't have anything on it, but at the same time too, I'm thinking about when you're squeezing the steak and the juices are just kind of like getting on your hands and like.
Well, it does. It gets on my hand, but most of it squirts in my mouth because, like I said, I don't want to lose any of the heat and juiciness of that steak, so I don't want to waste my time cutting it. I just pick it up and eat with my hands. It's quicker.
Joe the Barbarian.
Squeeze it into your mouth too, Joe.
Well,
squeezing that meat into his mouth.
No, it's just
yeah. I mean, how do you like your steak, Joe? I like usually mine with an angioplasty. It's just oh God, just like rub on his face and marinate me. Oh God,
it's quicker. I mean, it's just quicker to eat it like that. So I won't say anymore because I actually had a couple more, but I was like, I gotta stop because it's making me sound really terrible.
I can't hear him now unless you want to save him for next week or something. Look at Tyler. He's like, can we just end the show already? God.
Exactly. That's why we better stop. Only one last thing. When we went to an all-you-can-eat buffet. And we were all done eating except me. Everybody else is done. And we had, there was probably about 15 of the family all sitting there. But they knew I kept like going up for more and more. And this one place I went to had some really good desserts. So I went up and I got a big piece of chocolate cake. They had fresh chocolate cake they just put out there. And I cut a piece, put it on my plate. Then I put a bunch of hot fudge on the cake. Then I put chocolate ice cream on it with chocolate sprinkles. And I came back to the table and I sat down. And when I get really into my food, I look down and don't look up. And I was eating and I was shoveling the ice cream and the syrup in my mouth. And suddenly I heard the conversation getting quieter, 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 until the whole table was dead silent. And I slowly looked up and everybody they're staring at me with like their eyes really wide, but they were looking in disgust like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, it's a good cake. They said, can you breathe? They said, your head has not come up until just now. But my head was just down. And you could just hear the talking, just, you know how it goes in a place where it gets completely dead silent. and they looked at me like I was just a monster. But I was really enjoying that cake and syrup and ice cream. So
You were using a spoon, right?
that, at least for that, yes, I do use a fork or a spoon, whatever helps get it in quicker. But yeah,
I thought the story was going to be like it wasn't cake. You accidentally grabbed like meatloaf or something, but you didn't notice the difference, and they did.
No, it was a chocolate cake with chocolate ice cream, hot fudge, and some chocolate sprinkles. It was all good. That's it.
What a weird show.
Yeah,
I love this podcast.
I need to give a correction to Lacey Dean for my mistake I made regarding him 2 weeks ago.
Oh, where you called him a her?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tyler's like, I've never known a dude with the name Lacey.
Yeah. So my apologies to Lacey for making that mistake there. So that was supposed to have made that apology last week, but I want to make that public apology on the podcast right now. So I hope you still enjoy the podcast, and you need to let me know why you consider my taste in movies to be so shitty. Is it my affinity for Superman 4: The Quest for Peace? I mean, I think it's a damn good movie. Or Karate Kid Part 3, or the fact that I like Jaws: The Revenge. I mean, I need to know the valid argument of why I have shitty taste in movies.
Yeah, Superman 4 is bad.
You go to hell.
Thank you.
Tyler, did you catch that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, has anyone got anything else to say?
That's it. We love having you guys in the chat room. Had a blast. Hope you guys didn't get too pissed at each other in the chat. Remember, this is all in fun what we do. So we never.
It wasn't fun today. I was genuinely mad. So.
But you still had fun. I thought this
fun.
was entertaining as hell.
It's not fun being this angry. It's not fun knowing what's coming. I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy being pissed off people. I want to be happy. I don't want to be stressed and bothered. And things like this you can't ignore.
Yeah.
You know,
it's what it is.
Politics and stuff like that. I'm like, no. What has me going to town halls like, why is this Thundercats cartoon being made? That's what I will go and picket and be part of a rally in a strike against this. Political issues, I don't give a damn about. I want my cause for concern is why is this Thundercat cartoon being greenlit? That's what's concerning me and for the children of America. As you know, Miss Lovejoy, someone think of the children. You know, they don't need to be subjected to this bullshit.
I know, yeah. I mean, I would agree. Stop feeding the kids these cartoons that just don't keep your attention and cater to their short attention spans. Parent your kids better. It exists. You know, like there are parents out there raising their kids right. I'm not just saying like the cartoons they're watching, but actually turning them into respectable human beings so that when they grow up, they're not going to be shitty people. I like seeing that. I like seeing good parenting. I don't like it when they're like, run around, do whatever. Like my girlfriend's sister has 2 girls, and they are polite and very well educated. Like she gives them their time to their tablets and everything, but then she's like, no, we're done with this. We're doing this. We're going outside. Like she's culturing them. She's making them real people and not these mindless zombie drones walking around with their phones all the time. Like we're all guilty of it. Like I got my phone right here that I check because it kept going off. I think whoever posted status for the show before we started, like I think it's already got plenty of comments on it, so be prepared for that. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I guess we're done, right?
Say see you next week.
As Tyler looks sad. I'm glad you're back in town, bud.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back too.
Yeah. But yeah. Thanks everyone in the chat for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next week.
Wait, one more thing.
What? Oh.
We still on?
Yes.
My dad was watching Cobra Kai. He got to, might have been the 5th episode. And it was I think it was 5th episode where Daniel, remember, bought Johnny's beer and walked out and, got one up on him and all that stuff. It's just funny seeing somebody's reaction. My dad's, watched up to episode 5. He said, let's watch the others. And after seeing Daniel doing all, he said, well, that guy is a real asshole. So that was great. He just hated Daniel so far in this whole series. He's like, guy's an asshole. So There. See you
Not
next week.
wrong.
Yeah,
Not
right.
wrong.
No.
All right.
But yeah, I'll say it again. Thanks everyone in the chat for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
And next week.